Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kayla and I like to talk about books, book reviews, reading vlogs, lots of stuff like that. If any of that interests you, then please like, subscribe, do all of that good stuff. But today I'm going to be doing just a classic straight book review on The Only One Left by Riley Sager. So, as is really common in the book reviews I like to do, I'm going to start with a synopsis summary. Because this is a really new release and the experience kind of hinges on not knowing a lot of the plot, I'm just going to give like a really brief synopsis that's spoiler free, and then I'm going to get right into my review. And I'm going to keep it all spoiler free, and I'm going to give one little spoiler section at the end, but I'm going to have a really big warning and a timestamp below. So you're good to go ahead until that one little spoiler section at the end. Sorry, my air just kicked on, and if the noise is bothering you, I can't be bothered. It is 95 degrees here today. I need air conditioning. I'm not built for this weather. Anytime it cracks like 75, I'm honestly miserable. So let's just get into this synopsis. The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This book follows a caregiver named Kit McDeer, and she is assigned to care for an aging woman named Lenora Hope, who was accused of murdering her entire family about 50 years earlier. And since the crime, Lenora has been basically wasting away in her family's house for this entire time. The same house her family lived in, the same house her family was killed in, and her story has since then become sort of like a local legend. It's a little bit of an urban legend. It's kind of like a Bloody Mary, Lizzie Borden hybrid kind of local urban legend. So it's kind of well known in their area, but because of the stock market crash, it's not like super well known in other areas because it happened the same year of like the Great Depression, the big stock market crash. The main plot of the story takes place in the 80s with Kit McDeer, and like I said, she's assigned to care for Lenora Hope. As she begins caring for Lenora, she starts to uncover the truth about what happened with her family, what happened that night that they were killed. I don't want to give away too much because, like I said, there are just so many turns and I'm just not going to give it away. But as she does get close to Lenora, she starts caring for her, and Lenora actually begins telling Kit her story and the truth of what happened by typing it on a typewriter, like a little bit at a time, because she can only use one of her hands. It's pretty interesting. It's a great setup and it's got some clever twists, and even though there's not like a massive cast of characters, there are just enough supporting elements there and supporting people there to give it a little bit more depth and dimension in the storyline itself. And I feel like the house itself is also almost like its own little character. It's got a real ambiance. That's all I can really say without spoiling anything. So let's just get like right into the review. And going off of what I just said, like this book has so many twists and turns, so many plot twists, like I guess so many like discoveries. A lot of it is just stuff that's uncovered that's like whoa, but then some of it really is like plot twists. Like there's a lot of twisting and turning at the very end of this book. It's like one of those roads that you could take through the redwoods, up the mountains. It is just going to make you car sick. And honestly, this might kind of just come to my first complaint maybe about this book, is I would almost venture to say that it was like too many twists. It felt a little bit like overkill at sometimes, and I'm kind of realizing that maybe is a little bit of Riley Sager's style. I remember I felt that way when I read The House Across the Lake as well. I'm not mad at it because the story itself was really engaging. It was entertaining. Like I looked forward every single night to knowing what was going to happen. So I mean, like, even if it maybe felt like overkill, I will say that it helped me stay interested. What she's doing is working, I guess, so I'm not gonna like complain about it a lot, but it was a little much. But things I liked about this, I will say, is just the overall premise, the story, just a great setup. You know, you've got the spooky house, you've got the kind of urban legend, you've got all of these great little pieces of setup that just make it like a really, really great story. And the family dynamics and unknown family relationships and things like that. Like I said, it was a really entertaining and engaging story to follow, like a journey really to be on. I also feel like it was nothing crazy groundbreaking, but having like the point of view that goes back and forth, like the point of view of when the bulk of the actual story takes place in the 80s with Kit McDeer, like her point of view, and then how it goes back to like the Hope events and that point of view back in the day. But it goes to that point of view kind of through the writing that she's doing on the typewriter, like writing her story. So I don't know, I really liked the back and forth. I felt like it wasn't overdone. It was just enough to give the story that depth and dimension and have it be like not just one point of view. Of course, it's always gonna be, not always, but it's more engaging this way. Obviously, you're kind of seeing it unfold through time, I guess, I don't know. Things I didn't particularly like about this were the dialogue and, like I said, kind of maybe some unnecessary twists. They were still engaging and interesting, but I just don't know that the story needed them. The dialogue, however, had several moments where it wasn't atrocious, it just wasn't how I feel like people speak. Yeah, it just had some moments that read as really unnatural, particularly flashbacks to Lenora and Virginia, like the Hope family stuff, how their parents sometimes were talking. And I know that it's like a different time and everything, but frankly, it's just not how people really speak. It felt like unnatural. It felt a little bit stiff, some of the dialogue. So that would be probably the one flaw of this book that really like stood out to me. I'm sure there are some other little things, but I remember at certain times being like, this dialogue is taking me a little bit out of the moment because that's not how people talk. I don't think it detracted from like the book too much. I think it was still such a great story. I don't know, there were just a few times I wish I would have bookmarked specific examples on pages or something, but there were a few times where I just was like, that's not how people talk. Not a huge deal, but something that I definitely want to note. Without giving too much away, I do just want to say that overall, I really enjoyed the ending. Now, like I said, I'm not here to give any spoilers to give it away, so I do want to talk about the ending in more depth. If you haven't read it, now would be the time to click off this video. Like, please do not go any farther. I will also have a timestamp, but this will be a section where I talk about spoilers. I'm going to be talking about the ending, okay? Specifically regarding the ending, I actually really liked how the letter to Kit from Lenora / Virginia and the obituary for Virginia, I really, really liked both of those components because I feel like it gave me personally closure to such like a heartbreaking story. Like, her whole story was scary, but it was really more just like heartbreaking to read. It really, really killed me. So while I love an open ending in a lot of books, in this case I sort of needed to know that she had some happiness following like so many years of tragedy and difficulty. And so for me personally, that gave me peace of mind, especially honestly with her baby being taken away. I cannot imagine how that would feel. I just had a baby 6 months ago, and when I heard that, when I read that part, I was like, if someone took my baby away right when I had given birth to her, like, good luck crossing paths with me. The second I read that part, I had that part of the story, I was like, okay, she's fully justified in wanting to hurt the person who takes her baby away. Like, that baby was loved and wanted, and she wanted to care for it. Honestly, I would have been completely destroyed emotionally. I'm just really happy that we got a little bit of that closure and that comfort in the end for that character. I appreciated this book for what it was. Honestly, I think it was my favorite that I've read by this this author. I'm no expert or anything like that, but I do think she kind of hit it with having some characters that you're really invested in. I really liked the ending, and I thought that overall it was a pretty fun journey. So I would recommend it if you're already a fan of the author, absolutely. But yeah, that's probably all I'm really gonna say about this. Let me know below if you've read it, what your thoughts were, if you're interested in reading it. Like, subscribe, all that stuff, and I will see you later.